Last time, we began a scenario where not only did Bardock and Gine survive, but Goku went with them, or Kakarot I guess this time. And of course, they ended up having another kid too. But now we're at a point where Raditz finds them. It's kind of concerning because Bardock thinks that he might have given away their location. What are they going to do now though? We'll be covering all that and more in this part 2 of What If Bardock Raised Kakarot. Bardock has kind of a tough choice to make here. They could stay here and risk drawing Frieza out here, which would give them time to prepare and actually fight Frieza, but it also would put Yardrat in danger. And they could also go to find Frieza too, go along with Raditz, and join Vegeta and Nappa, but then they'd be under Frieza's control. So they'd have to come up with a story about that too, how they were not found for so long and what even happened. Although, that might actually buy them more time, because Frieza's not going to come attack them right away. If they go into Frieza's army, maybe that's their best bet. Besides, he must have known that Raditz was sent here anyways to get another Saiyan, or at least someone else for their squad. Thankfully, he didn't discuss anything with Raditz about how they came here in the first place, because Raditz already knew that. There was no need to discuss it. So Frieza didn't hear any of that. So they might actually be able to make this work. Frieza doesn't know their strength either. He might have briefly seen Ruta's strength, but that's really it. And even then she didn't use too much power, so it wouldn't be beyond what Vegeta has. Frieza wouldn't be too suspicious. But still, he would be suspicious. If they wait on Yardrat, there's a definite chance that he'd come there and kill them. But if they go to the Frieza Force and actually work on the inside, maybe that would be their best option. And it's not like he's going to recognize Bardock either. Bardock never ended up rebelling. He looks like a normal low-class Saiyan, so Frieza won't even bat an eye at it. They only have one choice. Raditz needs to take them to Frieza to join the Frieza Force. Again. Well, Raditz said he was going to take them back there anyways. So it's not like they're really going against what he wanted. But he does know what their ultimate end goal is, and he's actually going to stick with them. Sure, he's been with Vegeta and Nappa for a while now, but these four, they seem way stronger. It's way more promising to stick with them. Besides, he could probably put more faith in them than Vegeta and Nappa, considering how he's treated on that squad. Granted, Saiyan families aren't too close, but still, it would be better to trust his own blood. So reluctantly, Bardock and his family head off. They tell the Yardrats why they're leaving. With Bardock letting Paibara know, he says if there's ever an issue, he'll come there right away. They can teleport after all, and Paibara thanks them, but he thanks Paibara. They were so hospitable, they lived amongst the Yardrats for so long, and now, they're far stronger than they ever could have imagined. Paibara just hopes that Bardock can fully use that power to defeat Frieza for good, and Bardock's confident in it. It might be a little bit too soon, but sometime down the line, it'll happen. Actually, he thinks it might be one of his kids. Kakarot and Ruta, they're showing a lot of promise. Raditz is a little far behind though, but still. He's raised some good warriors. Raditz calls an extra space pod out, since now they need to bring Ruta back too. So each of them get into their own space pod and head back off to the Frieza Force. And along the way, Bardock crafts a perfect story. This is what they're going to have to tell Frieza, because if they don't tell him this, it's going to raise a lot of suspicion. This will probably still make him suspicious, but hey, at least it kind of mitigates it. Whatever little they can do, they're going to do. They arrive at a base of operations. They don't even see Vegeta and Nappa first. They actually go right to Frieza. Frieza already knows that Raditz found some other Saiyans, and he wants to meet them. Reluctantly, the five of them all go up to Frieza, kneeling in front of him and showing respect. And Frieza wonders, how did they survive out there? What even happened to them? He gave an order to have everyone back on Planet Vegeta, right? Well, Bardock has a pretty good story. He says right before that order came out, they were stranded on some planet with no idea of where to go or who to contact. There was no intelligent life on there, and they've been stuck there for decades, trying to survive. They barely were able to make it. But luckily, Raditz came and found them, helping repair their ships too, and even giving them new scouters. He says their old scouters broke on this planet as well. They had no way of hearing Frieza's order to come back to Planet Vegeta, and even if they did, they couldn't. They had no ships, and they wondered what was going on. To add to the story, they even say the Saiyans were supposed to come save them, but never did. That explains why no one ever came to find them, and only Raditz knew of them. Well, Frieza assumes that Raditz already told them, but he regrets to inform them that the Saiyans are all dead by now. So that's why no one came out to find them. But that story does add up. It explains where they were, how they never came to the planet, and how no one ever thought to find them besides Raditz, their own flesh and blood. He can't verify it, but he also can't find any holes in the story. At least, not yet. Maybe if he looks a little deeper into it. But then again, there were some other Saiyans that survived his wrath, so them being off-planet explains a lot. Frieza is suspicious though, because when Raditz did find them, the scouter went offline after their first encounter, and he did see a pretty sizable power. Not too high, it was only about 10,000 or so. He also doesn't want to let them know he's been listening in either. He doesn't know their full power though, which is good. So he doesn't say anything either. He'll just keep a close eye on them. And for now, they can just join in on his army, and he'll just watch how they perform. The five Saiyans leave. Zarbon and Dodoria were there for the whole conversation, as well as some other top members in Frieza's army. They ask if Frieza finds it suspicious, and of course he does. This could be the start of his downfall. But at the same time, the Saiyans didn't seem too strong, and there's no way they could be stronger than Vegeta either. Vegeta's not a problem. And if they're weaker than that, well, Frieza really has nothing to worry about. Besides, if they truly were planning something, perhaps they would have attacked by now. Or if they were trying to get strong enough to attack, well, that just proves to Frieza that it's never going to happen. They've been gone for years and they're just that. They're not that powerful. He is suspicious, but not necessarily concerned. The family also has to hide the fact that they have spirit control, because if Frieza knew they could teleport, that invalidates their whole story, so they can't use any sort of spirit control around anybody else. Same for any other abilities, because it'll make them look really strong. But teleportation is the big thing. If they use instant transmission, that proves they could have gotten off the planet anytime they wanted. But that could also be good. It's their secret, that they could just teleport whenever. And Bardock begins devising another plan. Next, they meet Vegeta and Nappa, with Raditz taking them to see those two. Vegeta's surprised. He tells Raditz good job, 4 more Saiyans. Well, apparently Gine's not that much of a fighter, but she still seems decently strong, especially for a low-class warrior. He wonders if she would start fighting though. But more surprising is the fact that Root is there. There's a new Saiyan, one that was born after all the Saiyans were destroyed. Not a hybrid either, she's a pure Saiyan. And he looks at the other two. They look like the spitting image of each other. Bardock, Raditz's father, and Kakarot, Raditz's younger brother. An interesting crew. They have Raditz's whole family here. And he tells them they'll be under his command now. He is the prince after all, so it's fitting that they work under him. And Bardock tries to hold back laughter hearing this. He knows he's multiple times stronger than Vegeta now, and Raditz stares him down nervously, just so he knows to not say anything or not even laugh or react. And it does take a lot of restraint, but Bardock holds back his reaction. This is also another reason to hide their strength. They can't necessarily trust Vegeta and Nappa yet either. Frieza's the main concern, but these two, they could also be a concern, although they don't see them betraying the other Saiyans. They do want to get rid of Frieza as well, but it's more of an enemy of my enemy situation. Bardock doesn't really have a great opinion on Vegeta, and doesn't know if he could put faith in him. Same goes for Gine, while Kakarot and Ruda, well, they think it's kind of stupid that he's the prince of, 6 Saiyans? And he's way weaker than most of the family? Yeah, they don't really care too much. And Vegeta does think it's an interesting batch. That Kakarot guy especially seems odd. For some reason, he's off-putting to Vegeta. He doesn't seem too excited to be here. Bardock and Gine can at least feign it, and for Ruda, she does seem excited to grow stronger and go on missions with them. And considering she was born after Planet Vegeta's destruction, her not reacting to the prince kind of makes sense. But Kakarot, he's just too quiet. Vegeta's gonna keep an eye on him, and he decides to grill them a bit too, wondering what's up with this Kakarot guy. Kakarot should know about Saiyan royalty. He was born before the planet got destroyed. He asked to remember the king and the prince, and Kakarot just plainly says of course he does. But again, something about Kakarot rubs Vegeta the wrong way. He's just very dry here. Bardock kinda eyes him down. Look more excited. It's their best shot at surviving and actually going along with the plan. But Vegeta then asks for something interesting. He wants Kakarot to display his battle power. Raditz did say his younger brother was stronger than him, but not by how much. And Kakarot's a bit surprised. Vegeta wants to fight? Bardock then telepathically begins talking to him. It seems he pissed off Vegeta somehow. Kakarot doesn't even know what he did, and Bardock laughs, telepathically. Oh man, this is kind of what he expected. Well, he says he could beat Vegeta, but don't go too hard. Make it look like there's a challenge. Actually, better yet, don't even try to beat him. Try to take the fall here. And Kakarot reluctantly goes for it. Fine. If it means they're going to get through this, then whatever, he'll just take the fall. First, Vegeta deploys a few Cybermen, and he wins a little too easily against them. Okay, well, not too big of a deal. Nappa probably could have done that too. Nappa was about to actually step up and face him next, but then Vegeta goes in. He'll face Kakarot himself, and Bardock then steps in too, saying something else. He says Kakarot's the strongest of them, which isn't true, but Vegeta finds that interesting. He is almost on Bardock's level though, but still, he's not the strongest of them. And Bardock thinks this will work with their plan too. If Vegeta beats Kakarot, then Frieza will just think the rest of the Saiyans are weaker than Vegeta. It shouldn't concern Frieza at all, or Vegeta for that matter, because he's also a concern. Interesting, he surpassed not only Raditz but his father. This Saiyan must have some pretty great potential, and Vegeta wants to see it. The two find an open area to get ready to fight. Vegeta powers up fully, and Kakarot puts on his own scouter, reading the power level. Of course he could sense ki too, but he sees Vegeta's powers about 18,000. Honestly, he really has no frame of reference. He doesn't know if that's impressive or not. But he does know for a fact that his ki should be higher, because from Vegeta's ki he could tell, he's way weaker. So, Kakarot tries to power up to match it, or just go a little bit below it. And Vegeta's shocked. His scouter reads 15,000? He's almost on Vegeta's level, just below it actually. That can't be right. A low-class warrior that strong? And he was on some random planet, he wasn't even doing proper training. Kakarot sees the shock reaction and quickly tries to lower his power a little bit more, going to 10,000. Oh, so that must have been a scouter malfunction. 10,000 is still very strong though, and Vegeta's very surprised to see that. He does know of a few Saiyans that reached that level. I mean, Bardock even did, not that he knows. But he compliments Kakarot. What an impressive power level. That's around where the elite class warrior should be. Hell, that's probably as strong as the king too. And Vegeta says while Kakarot may be outmatched in terms of his power level, they could still fight. He wants to see what the Saiyans got. A fight ensues. And Kakarot is really holding back here. He doesn't beat Vegeta at all, and he wants to make the fight seem close. So he does put up a good fight, but he limits himself and doesn't use too much more power. Vegeta can't believe it. This guy's actually keeping up, even despite the gap in power. It's still a huge shock that a low-class warrior is that strong, even if he still is weaker than Vegeta. Vegeta does end up winning the fight, although Kakarot does take the fall obviously. But after winning against Kakarot, Vegeta grills them a little bit more. He says he knows why they weren't found. They don't need to hide that from him. He knows how they escaped Frieza and why they weren't found in the first place. But he still thinks they're hiding something, and he asks, what are they hiding? Something's off about them, their strength, the way they're acting. He doesn't really know what to think about it. And he asks because if they aren't being completely honest, that means they don't trust Vegeta, and he has every right to be suspicious. But they assure him, everything they've said is the truth. Kakarot's the strongest of them, and that's his full power. But he still can't believe it. How did a low-class warrior get that strong that quickly? Raditz isn't even at 2,000 for his power level, and he's way older than Kakarot. Something's weird about this, but Vegeta decides to keep it to himself for the rest of the time. The Saiyans start going on missions together. At first, Frieza actually sends them on a pretty tough mission, or one that would be tough for normal soldiers. For these Saiyans, it actually should be good enough. It's going to be a challenging battle, a planet that's pretty strong. The reason Frieza is actually doing this is because he hopes it ends up killing the Saiyans. He thinks that Vegeta and Nappa will be able to make it through, but he doesn't know how strong the others are. Of course, with Bardock and his family, this doesn't really sit right with them. They still are normal Saiyans, but not the same ruthless ones from before. Besides, they don't want to follow Frieza's orders. At least for Bardock, he used to do this for his missions, and maybe he would actually decide to go on it, or at least consider it, but he doesn't want to play into Frieza's hands either. And he definitely knows the rest of them don't. Kakarot and Ruta didn't grow up that way. And as for Gine, she's been out of the squad for a while. She hasn't been a Saiyan warrior for so long. Them killing needlessly is not how they are. And in case it isn't clear, that's basically how Bardock is too. I mean, he lived peacefully on Yardrat. That lifestyle is behind him. Sure, he loves fighting and all, but he's not going to follow out Frieza's orders just killing needlessly. Now, this isn't to say Bardock's just a goody two-shoes, no. But he's not a genocidal warrior either. But as he thinks about it, he gets a great idea. A way that they could stop this. A way that they don't need to fight, and more importantly, a way to escape. A way to fake their death. Once again, he communicates telepathically. This way Vegeta and Nappa won't hear. And Raditz doesn't know how to respond, but Bardock just tells him to listen. He says they're going to fake their death on this mission. It's the perfect cover-up. What they'll do is teleport back to Yardrat. They'll leave their spaceships behind. They'll leave their scouters behind. That'll make it seem even more authentic. No one knows they could teleport, and that way, they'll just disappear, and everyone will just think they've been killed. So, they decide to enact this during the battle. At one point, they briefly get separated from Vegeta and Nappa, and as they're shot, each of them pulls off their scouters, crushing them in their hands and then throwing it in different directions, so it makes it look like they died in different spots too. Bardock tells Raditz to grab onto someone, as the four of them all place their fingers on their foreheads, teleporting away with Raditz. Vegeta and Nappa continue their mission, and eventually succeed, although it was a tough-fought battle, and they wonder where the other Saiyans went. They can't find them on their scouters anywhere. They should be able to, but then Nappa finds something, the remains of one of the scouters, and as they look around, they find the rest of the scouters too, all 5 of them. And their spaceships, they never were moved, they weren't even destroyed either. And Vegeta's completely dumbfounded. There's no way they could have left this planet, and there's no way they could have died either. I mean, if Kakarot was at a power level of 10,000, he should have been fine here. I mean, Nappa's weaker than him, and he made it through fine, so how did the rest of them die? It doesn't make sense, and even weirder, it's not like they could have escaped either because their space pods are still here. It's not like they can teleport or anything, so what happened? They can't be in hiding anywhere, they can't find it on the scouters either. And besides, even if they were in hiding, Frieza would definitely be able to find them. I mean, he could just blow up this planet too, and they know that. He'll find a way to get them out here if they are hiding. Damn it, something's not adding up. And Nappa thinks they might have just truly died, but also at the same time, there's no body. Not even one. Maybe if one of them just got completely obliterated, okay, that makes sense, but 5 of them all? And especially Kakarot after how strong he was shown to be? No, it just doesn't add up. But Vegeta begins thinking. He holds his tongue. He's not going to tell Frieza. Actually, he doesn't want Nappa to either. He's angered, feeling like the Saiyans betrayed him. Something's definitely not right here. He knows they didn't die. Something else happened. And Raditz joined them too. He'll tell Frieza they died though. He wonders what their plan is. He knows they're out there somewhere, and he will face them again. Especially because he's angered. If they did do something to betray Frieza, well, they betrayed Vegeta too because they left him behind, and Nappa. He'll get to the bottom of this. The family arrives back on Yardrat, being greeted by the locals. That was a little too close for comfort. But what are they supposed to do now? They got themselves out of one situation and now they bought themselves some time. So what's the next step? This is where we'll leave off for now. What'd you guys think about this part? What do you think's gonna happen next time? Leave any thoughts or suggestions in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It shows me you want to see more like this and really helps out the channel. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.